Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Kimberly Cloud Show. I'm your host, Kimberly Cloud. Today, we got two very special guests for the show today. We're going to talk about gun violence, and first, we're going to talk about their bios, and then we're going to ease into gun violence. So, first, we're going to go with Deborah. Deborah, can you tell me about your past or whatever you want to talk about leading up into gun violence and how you feel about it?
Sure. My name is Deborah Gillespie, and I'm the founder of Mothers Against Gun Violence. I founded MAGV after I lost my only son and his two friends to gun violence.
I'm sorry to hear that, Deborah.
Thank you. Thank you. And what else did you want me to say? So Mothers
Well,
Against Gun Violence, basically, what I do is I elevate the voices of survivors of gun violence through the arts.
okay, and tell me about how the news company, the narrated version of the recorded version of what happened and your version of what happened in the series of events that happened to your son and what happened.
Sure. So, just imagine that you're sitting at home and you're comfortable watching TV. The news comes on and they tell you that there's been a shooting and that your loved one was murdered and it was your loved one's fault. That's exactly what happened to me. I find out through the news that there's a triple shooting and they say it must have been gang or drug related. And I later find out it's my son. And I thought, what a horrible thing to experience.
What were you doing when you found out about your son?
I was at home. I was at
Oh,
home and I was sleeping and my sister called me and woke me up and told me, come quick, something happened to Kirk. When I got there, she had the TV on very loud. There were people standing on the sidewalk. And that's when I heard that there was a triple shooting and that it must have been gang or drug related. I found out that they were referring to my son. And, to try to change that narrative, it was difficult because just because he was a Black young man out, at a bar does not mean that he was doing something illegal. In his case, he was out celebrating his new corporate position with Corn Wrap Incorporated, and he was celebrating with his friends. And he had just returned home from college, maybe 3 weeks earlier. Um, and so, it's I think it's just terrible for the worst to be assumed when a shooting happens in an urban area and when a shooting happens involving a person of color.
how did the how did you feel when you found out that the news company had like pushed out like false information, and how did you feel like you recovered from that, from ruining, because basically what happened was they ruined your son's reputation, you know.
Exactly.
And how do you sit up there and advocate so that you can bring your son's reputation back together?
I was fortunate. His dad came and who was at that time my ex-husband, well, still my ex-husband. He came and I told him what the news had said about our son and that we needed to do a press conference. Uh, and we set up a press conference right away and we addressed the issue. I really have to give it to his dad. His dad pulled it together so quickly. He even brought elected officials, had to stand with us. At the time, and I had all.
What elected officials?
He had a state representative standing
Cool.
with us, a senator standing with us, an alderperson was standing with us. Of course, our families were standing with us, and I had all these things I was gonna say, but All I did was cry, and thank God his dad was there because he said what needed to be said. So
Well said.
yeah.
I'm gonna go to Roy real quick. Roy, can you tell me how Deborah's situation affected you? But before you do that, tell me your bio and a little history about yourself.
Well, grew up in a foster home, third youngest of 18 kids. And started dabbling in the street gangs as a teenager. 1-9 Deacon here in the city of Milwaukee, and my upbringing saved me from that. Once I caught a armed robbery case in which I had nothing to do with, but because of my reputation and people swore I was there, I had to go to had to do a jury trial um, as a sophomore in high school, and that changed my life. So I decided it was either go to jail or be dead or straighten myself out, and that's what I did. Went to the military, served our country. Now I serve as a youth mentor and big brother to a lot of younger people. I got out and worked in the Milwaukee public school system for 10 years, and I still mentor a lot of them young people today, even though they have families of their own today. So that's kind of briefly about my bio.
What do you mentor them about? How do you help them? Because and what is 19? We have a lot to cover. What is 19 deacon like? What is the definition of 19 deacon like? If you can tell me, if you can't, I understand, because I understand it gets dangerous.
Yeah, it does get real dangerous. Just 1-9 Deacon. This was our area code. I mean, it was they made a movie about the area code I grew up in, 53206. Probably the most dangerous area code in the city of Milwaukee, and that's the area code I grew up in. And we protected our turf against uh, rival gangs from other neighborhoods. So we got into a lot of fights, and also we got into a lot of fights being desegregated over to the other part of town with people who wasn't black who didn't want us over there, and you had to fight over there too. If you missed a bus, if you had to stay for basketball practice or something, you had to catch a city bus. There was a pretty good chance you was going to get jumped on the way to the bus stop, and we had a lot of fights against the whole neighborhood. You know, and
What's
so
the key to the whole thing where black on black crime happens? I asked you this previously. Why do black men kill other black men? Like, why, if you know y'all feel that y'all are being mistreated anyway?
so again, as far for my experience, so like we had a family. We were family. My gang members, we were family. So somebody got jumped or beat up or whatever, we went to take care of that. We went to get revenge on that. And so. But back then, we used our fists more. I never shot at anyone. I've been shot at, but I never shot at anyone. Nowadays, these young people, they're shooting and killing each other. We fought. Everybody went home and you got
Talk and
healed.
gossip
Yeah,
about
went home.
it.
Yeah. So I mean, I was blessed to have a great foster parents, Mr. and Mrs. James Dunlap, who brought me and raised me up, raised me up in church. I remember we had a big fight against some grown men. We were like 16. We had a big fight against some grown men one time, and because one of them was chasing one of our guys with a sword down the street, and we ran outside, and we was out there on a block away, just in the street going at it with grown men. And I remember leaving that fight, going home with some fried chicken and a big meal and everything. And a lot of the guys who I ran with, they didn't have that. They were strictly street. I didn't have to take that route, but that's something I did. I didn't have to take that route. And I remember coming back outside, and I'm full from a nice meal with a loving family, and a lot of my friends didn't really have it like that.
Do you feel like taking that route helped you become the man that you are today? And
Yes, ma'am.
and and how do you feel that you and Deborah help advocate for the gun violence that goes on in Milwaukee?
Well, I always told her she amazes me with how what she does, how she partners with people, and she helps. When we had the radio show, we always had other women who lost their kids to gun violence, and she just was amazing as how she helped them, and was able to understand where they were coming from. I was always amazed at that. And on my end, working in the Milwaukee public school system, I was able to talk to young men who were like I was when I was young, and give them show them a better way. I was a basketball coach and all that, but everything I did, we used that as teaching lessons, for life. So through music, whether I'm mentoring young people with music or basketball or whatever, I was always somebody who you could talk to if I needed to pull you out of class, if you had a problem. That's what I did, and then tried to make a difference, and I think I did.
I think you did too. Deborah, what are you going to do in the future to help keep your son's name alive? What is his name, and tell me a little bit about him.
Sure. His name was Kirk Patrick Bickham Jr. He was 22 years old when he was murdered. He was a very nice young man, I'd say. And a testament to his character was that one of the young men that was murdered with him had special needs. And, normally cool guys don't hang around people with special needs, but it didn't matter to him. It was his friend. So I would say that I miss him, and I wish he was here. But I want to say one thing about Roy. He definitely has been a great impact with his students. As he said, they're now adults. When Roy does a movie production for his video, his ex-students are showing up as makeup artists, cameramen or women, helping with that setup. I mean, it's just amazing to know that these young people, which are now young adults, like he said, with families of their own, are showing up for Roy years later to help participate in whatever it is he's doing. He definitely, you can see, was a great impact in their lives.
Tell me about your music, Roy.
Started doing music while I was in the military. I met a young man from New York named Tony Bartley.
Mhm.
He was a rapper, and I was always a great writer. So I started rapping with him. We started doing a little rapping stuff, doing some Run DMC stuff, and the captain of the company loved it. Had us do a performance in front of hundreds of generals and colonels and their wives and everything. But Tony had a emergency. He had to go home. He had to go home for a week or so, back to New York. And so I was there by myself, and that was the birth of me being an artist, scared by myself in front of all these people, and just did my thing. I always wanted, because of my upbringing, I never really did anything vulgar. No vulgar lyrics. Just everything was always, it was hard, but it was always no profanity, and always something that was spiritual, that kind of showed that was intellectual, positive.
You were never by yourself. You always have God.
Yes, ma'am.
And the fact that he even rose to the occasion shows that he's someone who can meet challenges. I mean, he didn't chicken out. He did it.
Thank you, Pastor.
You're welcome.
What's the definition of rap in your heart, in your view, in your vision?
Rap, well, I like to say hip hop, and I think hip hop is, and that all that's it's a lifestyle. It's the graffiti, it's the the break dancing, it's the DJing, the wordplay. You have an MC who wrote his rhymes and his thought process when he was writing it. All that is rap and hip hop, and and a lot of people, even though it might be vulgar, they use it. They use it to tell a story about what's going on in the hood, in their neighborhood where they come from. And for me, I use it to tell about where we are going. Like you say, we're never alone. God is there. I use it to tell about God and where we're going and what's going on in the world today, and to give us a little relief. How we can still be positive, how we still can have a little joy with all this evil and all this mess that's around us.
I just want to chime in there quickly to say about Roy's rapping. I consider it smooth, and it has a message, and he's sophisticated. That's how I would describe his rapping.
Wow. Yeah, like I feel like I listened to it, like you said, like a pack of cools or something. Just move.
Yes.
But it breaks down to a message.
It does.
And that's what I like about it. Tell me about like the day that you said that you were going to choose gospel rap.
When I got out of the military in 1988, me and my friend Jay, may he rest in peace. We were doing music, and I guess there's something that was in us. When you hear of a rapper who was probably the greatest rapper ever, Rakim said, he could tear the mic up, but without profanity, and that's the way what we did. And I just think of just the gospel was kind of in us. We said, hey, let's use this also to inspire people. We got enough people talking about the hardships of the neighborhood. But we can use this to talk about the inspiration and like I said, how to find some joy and some light as we're down here trying to make it to heaven. So that's when we started doing gospel, and I really wouldn't call it gospel because it's not Jesus, but it's something pointing us towards something that's bigger than just knocking people over the head and stealing, robbing, shooting. Something deeper than that.
I would definitely consider it positive rap.
Yeah.
Yeah, you tell the truth, and that's what it's about, is telling the truth of what's going on out there so that people that hear it can sit up there and say, wow, this is going on. What can we do to change it? How many people you've rapped in front of, and how have you changed people lives, and name one time you've changed someone's life?
Well, since we've been podcasting, I think I changed a lot of lives. I know it's one young lady said she heard of people didn't give her credit for being in much of anything, and I had her on my show, and I treated her with the utmost respect. She was a singer. At the time, I guess I don't think she was that good, but you never know. Well, what God got in store for you. And she said she cried the whole time she listened to her interview. I treated her so great, and she went on to become much better. A short story. One time, I think I changed somebody's life. Coming home from school one day, I'm sitting on the bus with my girlfriend at the time, my first love, Janelle. We're sitting on the bus. In the middle of the bus, we're reading the Bible, and a lot of our students, a lot of other students on the back of the bus, and back then, we had the boom box and all that, they blast the music, they cussing, they smoking, everything. So the bus is kind of crowded. So we come to Wisconsin Avenue, which is one of the major streets downtown, and everybody's standing there getting off, and this older white man taps me on the shoulder and says, I was sitting here about to make a judgment about a group of people, but then I look over and I see y'all reading the Bible. And he shook my hand, and I said, "Thank you, sir." And we got off the bus.
Wow. And I'd like to add, Roy, I think that you make a difference in people's lives just by giving them an opportunity to share whatever it is that they want to share with the community. Oftentimes people don't have that opportunity. And for you to open those doors is validating for people.
Yes, ma'am.
Well
Same to
said,
you, Mr.
Deborah.
Leslie. Same to you.
Nothing but love. Yes, I like how y'all support each other. That's what it's about. That's what it's about, man.
It's been nothing but love ever since we met.
Good. That's what it's about.
Yeah.
Where do you see yourself going for the future, Roy? And then Deborah, I want to ask you. Well, let's go with Deborah first. Deborah, where do you see yourself going for the future with this whole advocating thing of advocating for your son's name?
Well, I think of the advocating not just for my son, but for all who have been affected by gun violence. I do have about 20 more stories that need to go up on the interactive bus shelters. And then I can add my baby, because I made sure to save him for last. So the survivors know that I do intend to put everyone's story up. And the next thing is for next year, we're working on a gun summit, which we'll have a panel discussion with, and I'm glad to be a part of that. And maybe also decide, Survivors Fest. I did Survivors Fest this year. That I'll have to prepare for that for next year.
Please do. Please do.
You doing a lot, and you should sit up there and try to make a law or something, get enough votes for that. I think y'all have a movement going on. I know y'all have a movement, years of a movement. You too, Roy. Where do you see yourself for the future?
Well, I see myself just continuing the podcast and continuing the spotlight our young people, spotlight other people who's also doing positive things in our community, and not, like I said, not just the Milwaukee community, but abroad. We speak to people all over the world, and maybe one more EP, and just living the rest of my life, just celebrating life with people, through podcasting, through media, like that.
If you had
and I'm a brand new granddad. Shout out to my grandson.
Congratulations.
Yes, congratulations.
Yeah, so seeing my grandson grow up.
Exactly. If you had to tell him something for the future, because this is going to mean that you're going to keep this footage, so when he's 21, he can see this. What would you tell him or her?
Do what is right. Do what is right. Don't the broad road that's wide with everybody on there. That's not always the right path, but be true to yourself. Be true to I know you got parents that's bringing you up the right way. Stay true to those teachings, and even it's a narrow road and you find yourself kind of lonely on that road once in a while, as long as you know and you feel that it's right, it's getting you closer to God, closer to what you're supposed to be as a man, stay on that road.
Okay. And tell the people, how can they reach you, Roy? And then Deborah, how can they reach you?
On Facebook, I'm Roy Washington. On Instagram, I'm Novelist 2019. And on LinkedIn, go with my government name, Leroy. I'm Leroy Washington on LinkedIn.
So tell me, Deborah, how can the people reach you?
You can go to magvwi.org, or you can just Google my name, Deborah Gillespie, and all of my social media should pop up.
It's been an honor. I'm glad that we covered so many topics. Stay on the line, you guys.
Sure.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you, guys. This has been a Kimberly Cloud production on gun violence. And if it wasn't for people like Deborah Gillespie and Roy, I wouldn't have this episode. So thank you. And you guys take care, and I will see you guys later.